Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Grab a seat if you would, please. There's seats in the back and there's a few seats up here. It's just like church, right? The front row's empty. My name's Doug Thies. I am the founder of IT Leaders. We started this 8 years ago. Hard to believe it's been going on that long. Right in this room, it was actually a little different back then, but we started this group for VPs and directors and managers in staff IT positions. The folks who get the work done and typically go home, they don't necessarily network, they get little to no training on leadership skills. They're often taught how to manage. We teach people how to fire. We rarely teach them how to retain these days, especially in engineering disciplines. That's why this group exists. That's why you're here today. Breakfast networking, there's an opportunity for mentorship and the chance to improve your own leadership skills. That's what we're doing. Bathrooms over there. If you need to leave early, Bob Carter, the guy in the badge right there that looks like this, or me, you can reach out and we can walk you out. You probably figured out that this is a data center and it's an escort-only facility, so we can get you out of here. That's my mobile if you need to text me. Okay. How do you keep track of what's going on with this group? itleaders.org is probably the most direct and simplest way to do that. We've been running that website for many years now. We have two other events that are similar to this that were both started in the last couple of years. We've got one down in Louisville, and I'm going to talk about that event in a moment. We've also got a brand new one up in Fort Wayne called IT Leaders Northeast Indiana. You can find out about any of those events on the website, itleaders.org/Indianapolis. We tell you about upcoming events. We've got a happy hour coming up in, I think it's March. Tanium is going to host a happy hour for us, and I think it's going to be fun. So that's something that you can do, no presentation, just a little food, a little bit of drink, and we'll probably do a couple of those this year, and then there's the other events. There's also a LinkedIn group, and there's Twitter or X right now. Have we changed the handle for that?
We did change it. It's now IT Leaders COM for community.
IT Leaders COM, if you're an X person.
We're trying to make it a Twitter for all of the regions so that we can all.
Yeah, we announced that change, and I forgot to update it, but we announced that change, and someone sent a text back that said, Twitter is no longer relevant, and okay, we're still going to post out there. So anyway, those are ways you can keep track. Social media, if you like what you see here, spread the word to your network. Most IT people only know other IT people from work or from the soccer field or church or some of their other social circles. So spread the word on LinkedIn. You may not be a big LinkedIn person, but if you use the hashtag ITLeadersIndy and maybe take a couple of pictures of me or the speakers or the crowd, I think it's useful for people to understand what they might get here. The price is right, correct? It's easy to come here. It's easy to show up, and it's easy to learn about how to be a better leader. So spread the word for us, if you would, please. The private group is also called IT Leaders Indianapolis. We've got two presences on LinkedIn. One is IT Leaders Indianapolis, the company page, which is really just a rehash of the website. It has announcements on what the next events are. It's how I broadcast about events on LinkedIn. We also have some leadership articles that Rusty posts and I post as well. Rusty Maynard is the guy over here in the corner with the camera. He has done a lot of the social media work for us over the years.
It's so lousy.
It's great. If you have articles that you want to post, contact me or contact Rusty. We've got ways that we can post those articles. If you see an article that's meaningful to you on leadership. In addition to the company page, we've got a LinkedIn private group called IT Leaders Indianapolis. That's for you to communicate with each other. So if you have an employment opportunity, or if you are trying to vet a vendor, or if you've just got questions that you think the community might be valuable in sharing, then it actually extends not only, that's gonna change too. It's not gonna be just Indianapolis, it'll be the Fort Wayne and the Louisville group too, so we can spread the word a little bit further on that. Questions on that? Okay. We used to have a boot camp. We do it once or twice a year, and it was 4 4-hour sessions. Lou Russell, the lady who ran that, the IT whisperer, has retired. She has grandkids now and is putting her focus on that. We are thinking about bringing a new one to the community. And the way that's probably going to look in the near term is on a handout right here. I've got a few copies of this. I've got 25 copies if you're interested. Jennifer Ruth Green is a military professional. She spoke at the IT Leaders Northeast Indiana session last fall. You can find her on our videos or on the podcast. And she's got a half-a-day session that I think is a really good leadership fundamental class. That class is going to be $549, and we need 15 people in order to hold that. We're thinking about April or May in order to do that. In addition to that, she has a compatriot who does a leadership etiquette program, how to be a healthy adult in the workplace is maybe what I'd call it when I look through the content here. And we're thinking about combining the two into a single full day long event. It's different from the old boot camp, but I can't really replicate what Lou used to present. If you've got new leaders who could use a Leadership 101 course, or if you're a seasoned leader or have seasoned leaders who could use a refresher, I think both of these would be extremely valuable. These handouts are here for you if you're interested in looking into those, and please reach out to me and contact me if you have interest in bringing a few people. I know there's a couple of people in here who have inquired about the boot camp, and we'd like to refresh it and bring it alive again. Remember, it's a Leadership 101 course. TechPoint is doing a more in-depth leadership program. You want to talk about that at all? Any thoughts on that right now? That's a multi-month program, right?
Right, it's a much longer program. The previous session just finished, and we'll look at starting the next session. So reach out if you're interested. Details on the TechPoint page. That's
Matt Bellinger. He's the head of the Indiana CIO network. So if that's more of interest to you, a deeper dive into leadership, then that's probably a great program here for local. We have content online right now for previous events. Expedient's YouTube channel hosts the videos that Eric takes here. So if you miss one of these events, you can refer back to it, or if you just want to revisit the content, you can refer to it as well. Expedient, or youtube.com/expedient/videos are where you can find the videos, the end-to-end videos of these events. Also, we released a podcast. So you can find the podcast at itleaders.transistor.fm. It is also available at most of the podcast aggregators of your choice. And these are broken up into the half-hour sessions that the initial the speakers have. So no announcements, just a half-hour time. So 2 podcasts for every 1 meeting that we hold. All right, this is your part of the meeting. This is for those of you who have open positions in your organization that would like to shout that from the rooftops. Or if you're looking for your next opportunity, you can talk about that as well. Who's got open positions in their organization that they'd like to mention at this point? New year, new open positions, anyone? Okay. All right. Who's looking? Who's looking for their next opportunity? Please speak up. Be brief. Speak up. Stephen.
Yep. Stephen Doherty, formerly Director of Technology at MSP here in town. So I'm looking for my next opportunity, whether it's a manager role or a director above position. Done everything from on-prem infrastructure to cloud. So.
Harsh.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Harsh Thakkar. Been with Liberty Mutual for 18 years. Got impacted recently by the reorg. Looking for managerial positions either for engineering teams or for any QA organizations.
Andre.
Andre Prehuff, years of experience, looking for director up. Last one was VP of IT for multi-healthcare with Planned Parenthood, and so I'm looking for anything, local or remote.
Fabulous. Brian.
I'm Brian Peters. I'm a recovering CIO for St. Vincent, and I'm just looking for a next position to help make a difference in healthcare, but also integration for any kind of AI for healthcare.
Thank you. Les.
Hi, Les Chinesco, recently in transition from Amazon. Yeah, looking also for like IT leadership role with as IT director, or doesn't my titles, doesn't really matter, but I'm doing some short-term consulting while I'm trying to find something. So open to anything from infrastructure to infrastructure or digital transformation.
Fabulous. Thank you. Anyone else? Did I miss anyone? Great. Thank you. Upcoming events that are on the calendar. The next IT Leaders bi-monthly peer group, actually it's a quarterly peer group in Fort Wayne, is February 6th up in downtown Fort Wayne in the Key Building at Indiana Tech. Clifford Clark is going to be talking about 5 hard lessons in leadership. And Hannah Stork, who's been really involved in women in high tech here in Indiana, is going to be talking about risk taking. It should be really good. Same time slot, Tuesdays, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Louisville, February 13th, the following week. Yum Brands headquarters, Ryan Brubaker is going to be giving the same talk or a similar talk as he did here, stress management as a leader, a really good topic. And then Elias Oxendine, the CISO of Yum Brands, is going to be speaking on resiliency amongst change. Should be a great event. Yum Brands headquarters is kind of right in the center of town, so it's easy to get to as well. You can sign up for those at the website. And the next event here in Indianapolis is March 19th. Got Chuck Christian from Franciscan Alliance talking about coaching versus leadership, coaching and leadership. And then Mike Eaton, who's one of our longtime attendees. Where are you, Mike? There you are. He's going to be talking about trust and how it affects your team. So I'm looking forward to that as well. There are other events. I know there's a couple of other events. Raquel, did you have one you wanted to talk about?
Yes, I'm Raquel Richardson with Centric Consulting, and we partnered with Microsoft last fall to relaunch Azure Indy. So anybody interested in that is welcome to come. Save the date for February 28th, but don't know how a place yet. I will tag IT leaders in there.
Okay.
And if anyone's interested in helping us plan this group, topic ideas, or if you want to sponsor, let me know. It's your community. Thanks.
Great. Anybody else? Any other events that we need to talk about? SIM, Women in High Tech?
Nathan? Cindy next Tuesday night. It's a little more technical, but you're welcome to come. So Tech at 7.
Which one? What's the group name again?
AWS Cindy.
AWS. Okay, great. And it's Zotech right across 31.
Yep.
Okay. Any others? Any other events that we need to let the community know about? Okay. Once again, I want to just give gratitude to my employer, Expedient, who's allowed me to spend my time and their money putting this event together, not only in Indy, but in multiple locations. And I think it shows really what kind of a vendor Expedient is, that they're willing to bring value to the community first. We're a data center facility. You probably figured that out walking back here. We're also one of the nation's largest VMware clouds and offer a number of services around that as well. So grateful to Expedient for what they do for this community here, including sponsoring the Indiana IT Symposium as the title sponsor and a variety of other events. Today's speakers, we're going to start off with Rob Bell, who is a leadership coach, and we are going to finish up with Leon Ravenna, who's from CAR. Rob, it's all you.
My name is Dr. Rob Bell. I'm a sports psychology coach. So what I do is I work with athletes, coaches, and teams on mental toughness, helping them perform their best when it matters the most. I've been blessed enough to work on the PJ Tour. I have 3 different PJ Tour winners, and that's me. So I always like, and I think we like, acronyms. But let me start out with this first. This is obviously not the car I'm talking about that we're going to use. But I remember this day because this was April 20th, 1996. That was my mom's 1989 Camaro that I had driven. And I remember at that point in my life being an absolute knucklehead, being a dumb idiot who had no clue about anything in life and thinking that I did know it all. I remember that day specifically because I was a raft guide and I guided a trip on the raft that morning, April 20th, very cold, because it was Earth Day. And I remember, since it being Earth Day, I remember some friends that were going to go to a party. And that's exactly what I did. And I went to that party, and then I thought it'd be a good idea, let's drive back to college that night. And when I'm driving back to college, about 5:30 that evening on a very mountainous road, I crossed the center line. And I remember that in my mind, crossing the center line and striking somebody head on. I remember thanking God that I didn't hurt anybody else. And I thank God that I was still alive because I was given another shot. The pain that breaking your collarbone, breaking my jaw, hitting the windshield, was still nothing in particular to the emotional pain that I caused my family, that I caused everyone around me. And I share this because you might not have this experience, but I guarantee we've all had this type of experience, that emotional pain that really changes us. And I share that because this moment, I made the commitment after that no matter what happened, since God gave me an extra shot, that I wasn't going to blow it. If you ever give me another chance in life, you give me a second chance, I'm not going to blow it. I'm going to go all the way. So talking about motivation, like motivation is caught more than it's taught. Let me say that one again. Motivation, mental toughness, it's caught more than it's taught. What I hope to share today is how can we allow these experiences, though, when someone's going to be in that situation, how are they going to be able to catch it? Because I believe we can prepare them for it. I think we've all had these type of experiences. And the reason why I share this too is this was also a hinge moment that happened in my life. Now, what's the hinge? Everybody, give me 20 seconds to undivided attention, all eyes on me. Okay, ready? All right, go. Every door has a hinge. Okay, a door without a hinge is a wall. It just doesn't work. If you ever hear about doors opening and closing in life, that's because of the hinge. If you ever hear of a rusty door, like it's not the door that's rusty, it's the hinge that gets rusty. So what the hinge is in our lives, it's going to be that one person, that one moment or one decision that makes all the difference in our lives. It connects who we are with who we're going to become. Okay, go ahead and space back out. So we cannot connect the dots in life looking forward. Right? We have no idea who is going to be that person, who is going to be that moment, or what that decision is going to be. We can only connect the dots in life looking backwards and seeing the impact that one person had on our life, that one decision had on our life. Sometimes we don't know these hinge moments occur till weeks, months, years later. Think about how you met your partner. How'd you meet your spouse? How'd you end up at the career that you are, the school you went to? Small hinges swing big doors. Now, I share this hinge moment because tragedies that happen in our life, tragedies are immediate hinges. Because from that moment on, everything is different. And this was a hinge moment. That from that moment on, I know that in every bad situation, some good is going to come out of it. Some good is going to come out of every bad situation that we have. And what the good that came out of that situation was perspective and gratitude that I simply wasn't going to blow it again. And even sharing that today, I was telling my wife that yesterday, even sharing this story today, like it brings up a lot of shame because to think, why was I gifted in that I didn't hurt anybody or I wasn't hurt myself when I made such a horrible mistake at that point in my life. So the only thing I can do is make sure that I'm going to pay that forward. But I was gifted with motivation and knowing I wasn't going to blow it. In every bad situation, some good is going to come out of it. The other part about the hinge that we have to realize and recognize is that no matter how bad our situation is right now, no matter how bleak an outcome looks, it only takes one. That's the beauty about it. It only takes one person that we have to meet, one connection, right? One catch of the ball to make all the difference. That's what we're getting ready for. The reason why the mental game is so important is we just don't know who that person is going to be or what that moment's going to happen. So I also know that it is not about the setback that happens in life. It is always about the comeback. Bit of a cheeky title when it comes to, that was my 7th book on mental toughness that I wrote. But it's not about the setback. It's always about the comeback. The setbacks are going to happen. We're going to have hurt, head-ups, hang-ups, and headaches that happen. But it's not about the setback. It's always going to be how we, and you heard this, right? It's always about how we respond to that adversity, how we respond to the challenge. Help me out with this one just so I make sure we're all alive in this one, all right? It's not about the setback, it's about the comeback. Okay, now I know we can just do just a tad bit better just with the energy, right? It's not about the setback, it's about the comeback. Yeah! It's always about the comeback, and there's always one in that one, right? You got to be a Michigan fan. It's always about the comeback. So how do we use a card? Let me ask you a question. So use a card to increase your team's motivation. Let me ask you a question before moving forward real quick. And just think about this. What do you think is the most important mental skill? Like in order for success, what do you think is the most important mental skill? Now think about it and put one in your head. Now there might be a few, but what do you think is the most important one? Now, I asked that question, so just so we're all on the same page, if you have an idea, just raise your hand. I promise I will not call anybody. I just want to know that everyone has one in their mind. But raise them up high because I want to make sure we're all on the same wavelength. I won't call on anybody. All right, what's the most important one? No, I'm just kidding. All right, give me some answers. What?
Discernment.
Persistence.
Whoa, not slow learner here. Discernment?
Yep.
And what do you mean by that?
Just knowing what, basically organizing the thoughts.
Okay, organizing the thoughts. What was?
Persistence.
Persistence, okay. Keep it going now.
Resilience.
Trust. Okay, good. Trust. Beat you to that one, right? Trust. Confidence. What was another one?
Resilience.
Resilience. Yep. What else?
Goal
Yes.
focus.
What's that?
Staying focused.
Staying focused. Absolutely.
Gratitude.
Gratitude, right? Gratitude, perspective. I think they're superpowers. Absolutely.
Ability to adapt.
Ability to adapt, right? Your ability to adjust. Give me some others. Any others?
Discipline.
Discipline. Okay, good. Any others? What's that?
Goal setting.
Goal setting, setting goals. Yep. Any others? Yes.
Pursuit of wisdom as opposed to knowledge.
Pursuit of wisdom as opposed to knowledge, right? Yeah, I love that. I tell my daughter that, right? What's the difference between wisdom and knowledge, right? And we know, we've heard this one, right? But knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing that you don't put it in a fruit salad. Wisdom and knowledge, yeah. And you only get wisdom through experience, absolutely. Any others? Okay, good. They're all important. They're all important. And there's a reason why you think that is the most important mental skill. Absolutely. So I'm not one to say, hey, no, that's not the most important mental skill. But if you think about discipline, persistence, perseverance, goal setting, how bad do you want it? The will to prepare. The will to prepare has to be greater than the will to win. Doing whatever it takes. That is on the baseline of motivation. Now, every coach that you talk to, every guru that's going to be out there on Instagram or YouTube or wherever sharing you that is always talking about motivation. And I'm not denying that it's not important. That's why I want to share with you today. But it is the bottom line. It is the foundation of mental toughness but it does go beyond that. But when it comes to what I can share with you today, this is how we motivate those that are going to be around us and part of our team. How do we create the environment that we can help motivate one another and motivate those that we work with? This doesn't necessarily work with us, but you will look at these three and see which one lacks from your viewpoint and why does that sap the motivation to do whatever it takes, to put forth that extra effort, right? There is no traffic jam on the extra mile. We all love that one. But this is how we motivate those that are going to be around us. Now, all three have to be there. If one of these are lacking, then the three-legged stool falls. What are they? It's going to be competence, autonomy, and relatedness. This is based in science. And just so we don't get caught in the axle, I'm going to bring that one back up. Don't worry about it. I have studied every theory of motivation that there is. Right? This is my world. This is all that I've ever done in my life. And this is the only theory that holds water. We don't quit smoking to live longer. No, we quit smoking because our teeth are yellow, we just don't want to stink anymore. So when I study every single theory, this theory holds water. And that is competence, autonomy, and relatedness. All three have to be there. Competence is confidence. We have, and I'm going to show you how do we do this as well. I'm not just going to give this to you and then move on, but how do we do this? How do we tweak this? But competence is confidence. We want to feel like we are good at what we do. How many people feel that they are competent at what they do? Okay, good, right? Yeah. I mean, you have to be at some level or we would never try anything at all. Autonomy. Autonomy is that I am free to make decisions in my role, right? If you think of Ritz-Carlton outfits every frontline employee with $2,500 to handle any kind of problem that a customer is going to have. They give them the autonomy that they don't need to run this up the chain if somebody is having an issue. The autonomy, so the freedom to be able to make the decisions on their own. And then relatedness. If you watch, relatedness is always on the back end. But if you watch, any team that is successful will always talk about the locker room, how close we were, how we just had that goal and that's what we were focused on. They're always going to talk about, and relatedness is simply that individuals are part of something bigger than themselves. That I feel connected to those that are going to be around me. I feel a part of this team. I feel that not only what I do makes a difference, but that you appreciate it and that you recognize it. Relatedness. All three have to be there. Competence, autonomy, and relatedness. Now to share with you, how do you kind of tweak these? Think about them in your life. So I'll say this, right? Confidence breeds success. If you think about competence, it is confidence, just a belief that I can be successful. Autonomy, simply, you want to feel empowered in my position. And the last one, like relatedness, you want to feel part of the team. People that want to take a deeper dive, I'm not just making this stuff up, that's the theory right there. Which one do you think, so I'll raise your hand when I say the one that you think you struggle with the most. And I'll share with you the one that I struggle with. All right, how many people struggle with, and think about your organization where you're at, how many people struggle with competence? How many people struggle with autonomy? All right, and then how many people struggle with relatedness? Okay, good. But they're all three important, right? I always struggle with relatedness. I gotta feel a part of the team that I'm working with and that what I do makes a difference. So how do we tweak these? Competence is confidence. There are a lot of skills that go into how we build confidence, but the one reason and the one way that I know to do it is tell them that they're good at what they do. When they are told you are good at what you do, you recognize for what you do, it automatically builds confidence in somebody that, hey, you know what, I am good at this. And they got to be reminded. So I always think it's I just can't tell my daughter, hey, I'm really proud of you, I'm really proud of you, I'm really proud of you. No, hey, I'm really proud, or however we want to take it, right? I'm really happy that you've been making your bed every day. Find something very specific to praise them on. We can praise them or you can punish them, but praising is always what's going to build the confidence in one another. Autonomy. What's one way that we can build autonomy in individuals? Think about the problems that you have within your organization. And the way I think that autonomy gets built is if you think of a tree, the tree problems that we have, they're going to be leaf problems, there are going to be branch problems, there are going to be limb problems, there are going to be trunk problems, and then there's root problems. Now, the root problems you got to handle, right? The trunk problems you're going to have to handle. But what are the leaf problems that they don't need your permission in order to go ahead and run with that and take care of it? And this is where you've got to be thinking in your mind, like, what are these issues? Because no one wants to be micromanaged. And when we talk about micromanaging and making sure everything is correct, it just doesn't work. We have to empower those that are around us, and that's the way I look at, wait, when we have problems, have I equipped them to go ahead and take care of that? And then what are the leaf problems in your organization that you deal with, that you allow them to do? And then the last one, right, relatedness. What company do you think is really good at relatedness, making sure everyone is part of the team? Give me a couple companies.
Lily.
What's that?
Lily.
Lily, fantastic job, right? Chick-fil-A, absolutely. Did anybody say Chick-fil-A, or is that just in my mind? What others? Southwest, yep, good one. Was that just in my mind too? I don't want to project my own beliefs and thoughts on this. Relatedness, the part of I need to feel part of something bigger than what I am or what I do. The relatedness piece, how do we build that in one another? Reminding them and letting them know how their project, how their piece right here, how it made a bigger impact on the overall goal. How was it that you knew that you were important to this? And then the other part that I think that we just don't do well of is I don't think we celebrate. I think what happens is we celebrate and then it's on to the next. Hey, great job, on to the next. What's next? And then we just don't celebrate it. When we want to celebrate, I think we want to be part of it. And those that are going to be driven, we're focused on the process more than the product, and I totally get it. But I think, man, allowing people to celebrate and just letting them know is how we build a relatedness that you are part of something bigger than yourself and you are a part of this team and how integral you are. Competence, autonomy, and relatedness. Real 3 simple tools that we kind of take with you. This is the one that holds water. All 3 got to be there. And then the ask them. When you take this back to your organization, then ask the people that you work with, right? Do you feel valued here? Do you feel like you're a part of the team? Do you feel like you're good at what you do? In what areas can I empower you more? And they'll let you know. Now, do you have to do this absolutely with everybody? I don't know. But what I do know is this, is that if you want to change the way you feel about somebody, you change the way you treat them. Let me say that one again. If you want to change the way you feel about somebody, you change the way you treat them. And these are just the way that you build that motivation. Because when you get somebody that is self-motivated, that wants to do it out of their own will, that wants to go that extra mile, it makes your job a whole lot easier. Money only goes so far. We know this. These are the internal factors that make a difference in people's lives, all 3 of them. Think back to your family. You can take this back to your family right away. Do they feel that they're good at what they do? My son struggles with competence. My daughter struggles with autonomy. She thinks she needs, well, she's 15, right? Yeah, she feels like she can do everything. So I need to then equip her. And then the relatedness part, letting them know that they are such an important part of this family and how our lives are better because they are in it. And now, last point that I want to show you with is the take-home message is what we do in life, no matter where we are or what our role is we plant trees that we're never going to see. You have no idea the impact that your words can have on somebody because you plant trees that you're never going to see. You plant trees whose shade that other people are going to enjoy. Because how can I know the impact of telling somebody, David, man, it was just so nice meeting you, and you made such a difference in my life? We don't know that. We can't know that. Sometimes, and some of you have been fortunate enough to have somebody reach out that you have had an impact on their life, and what a feeling that makes and how we hold on to that. You have to realize that your job as a coach, your job as an individual, as a human being, is you plant trees that you're never going to see because you can't know the impact of telling somebody that you believe in them, what that makes like in their life. And here's my proof. I have a voicemail message from 2012. I was speaking, one of my professors I really revered, he saw me speak, left a voicemail on there, and I still got it. And it's just pumping me up. Do you know that since 2012, I've left thousands of messages on other people's phones? I can't tell you one thing I said on any kind of voice message, but I can play that whenever I want. So you don't know the impact, but you just have to know that your actions and what you do make a difference in people's lives. We just don't know always what that is. And then the last point is this, and I appreciate you having me today, is I can't wait to be patient, right? Patience. We know time is our most important resource. We know this. It's not money. We know it's time because everyone in this room knows how fast that time goes. And we have to keep that which is important. And we have to know that which is important. What I see what happens today is that everything is important, then everything is rushed. When everything gets rushed, that's when mistakes get made. And what happens is we have to be urgent towards that which is important, but we have to be patient towards that which is not important. Now, the message that I basically leave with motivation is, look, time's our most precious resource that makes an impact in people's life. I think when you thank somebody for your time, thank you for being patient, just sounds a whole lot better than, hey, sorry, I'm late. When you thank somebody for their time, I think you're thanking them for the most precious resource, and then we value them. I'm going to stick around. Love meeting you. Love to talk with you. Wanted to give you this so you can take this away with you, implement it into your life. If anybody is interested in any books, too, I've got this for sale. I got to put that out there, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, thank you all so much for having me, man.
Question, Rob, if any of these teams are interested in engaging with you, what's the best way they can do that?
You can talk to me afterwards. My website's drrobdell.com.
Rusty?
I just wanted to ask, I really appreciate this presentation.
Thank you.
I find it very helpful. It does strike me that it's about management down. In some of our situations, we're trying to influence above us to be more supportive of this idea.
Yeah.
Do you have resources or anything that would help in that situation?
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up because the harshest critic is myself. I'm going to go back and realize I was like, I didn't talk about that.
Well, don't do that.
Well, that's just how I am, though, right? Yeah, can I just, it's not a slow pitch softball question that I can just like hit really hard. And that's the only kind of questions I want to answer right now. That was, I thought, funny, but because that's kind of like a slider. But yes, and I'd love to answer it afterwards if we can. Any others? Like, how about two more? 2 questions? Comments? Thoughts?
Got one. How do you recreate the hinge moment or like the car moment to like regenerate your motivation and your connection with the choices that you made in the moment?
Well, part of it is, we don't make change unless there's pain.
Right.
Really don't. There has to be enough pain. If there's not enough pain, then we need more pain. That's the only way that people are really going to change. And unfortunately, when you experience that pain, I make sure I stay in touch with that pain. Now, I still make mistakes. I still mess up. But it's knowing that wasn't my identity, that was just a mistake. That wasn't my identity and who I was as an individual. And like I said, that was the gift that I got from that, was I wasn't going to blow it. So I just stay in touch with that. Good point, Mike. Thank you. That was slow pitch softball, right? You just kind of throw that one on. How about one more? Move on to bigger, better things. More important. Not all at once, too, and everybody raise your hand want to ask a question. We're really getting embarrassed. So, is there any more? All right. Thank you all so much. God bless.
You guys all set? I'm not nearly as gifted speaker as Rob is, so maybe we won't fall off a cliff. Maybe it's a slow roll down the hill. So, I'm going to go over a couple things. So I'm going to introduce my company because you probably know my building, but you don't know who the hell we are or what we do. Give you a little about me because, well, why not? And then every company here, guaranteed, is a technology company. Okay? And I'm going to show you how we became a technology company. Okay? We sell cars. We're a technology company. Okay? So, with that, I'll get rolling. Don't worry about the text. It's just me being wordy. So, most of you know my black building. We're on 31. We've changed our name a couple times. I'm the CISO there, so It helps my threat profile if we change our name, because no one knows who to look for. Okay, so we were Odessa, we were Car Auction Services. I went there 7 years ago this month, and we were Car Auction Services, became Car Global, and now we're Open Lane. Well, we'll be in 2 years, I have no idea, but Open Lane fits. We will be getting a new tenant. CNO will move in with us, and they'll take floors 2 and 3, and their sign will go up. We're actually putting sign on the back side over here, and Carmel in their infinite wisdom wouldn't let us go up high, so we have to basically take up the top of the 5th floor. So that's okay. We just won't be able to see what's going to be built across 31. So last year we touched 22. We're already 24. Touched about 1.3 million cars. As we go through in 2018, we touched 6 million cars. Okay, so we do a lot with cars. So I don't know if it was planned, but Rob kind of fed right in on the car analogy, so we're all good. About $1.5 billion. When I went there in 17, we were Fortune High 6. We were just under $4 billion in revenue. We had 18,000 employees then. Okay, we'll kind of walk through what we've done. We sell cars in a lot of countries. Some of them I don't want to sell to, but we don't really have a choice. There are some that we can actually block, and we do that. Now, what you'll notice, we're going to talk about change. You'll see accelerate in our title. You'll see accelerate here. When you talk about being busy, we have fundamentally always said yes, because it's the right thing to do. We got to go do it. We got to go do it. And I'll walk through some of that, and some of your eyes will glaze over on some of the stuff that we've done, okay, in the last couple of years. But we'll talk about transformation, okay? If you think about, we're in the auction business. Now, an auto auction, if you ever watch Meekum Auctions or Barrett Jackson, okay, we don't run 1 lane at a time, we run 8 lanes, okay? And you can imagine trying to buy cars in 8 lanes at once. An auction site for us, historically, is 180 acres, holds 14,000 cars. Every car might move 5 or 6 times while it's on lot, okay? So we do a lot with vehicles, and we have changed that model dramatically. So, real quick about me, I'm an old man. I've been doing this for 38 years now. I remember opening up the Chicago Tribune, just waiting for the day I'd have 5 years experience so I could apply for those jobs that were there, okay? Now it's like, nobody's asking for 40 years experience. I don't know why. I actually started working at 12. I've been around cars my whole life, okay? My dad was my ride, so I've been working 55 hours a week or more since I was 12. So, Rob, you talked about hinge moments. My dad was a hinge, okay? Taught me work ethic, taught me you provide, those kind of things. I went to Taylor, for those of you that know Taylor. My first job out of college, I was assistant manager. I wanted nothing more than to get out of Walmart. I did not want to be an assistant manager because they hated the college punks, where I was. Been married for 37 years, and I live here in Carmel. We got 4 grandkids. That's not my car, but it's an exact picture of my car. So it sits in the garage. It doesn't get out much. Only got 2,000 miles. It's got 700 horsepower, and every single time that I get on it, coming on and off, or coming on to like Keystone, the very next ramp, I will see a policeman. Guaranteed every time, okay? So it's never been above 100. It's never been raised. That's how it'll be sold.
But it's very loud.
It is. It gets with it. And then just a quick career. I've been doing a lot of stuff. You'll notice the certs. I was a master CNE, as good as you got in the network world. Nobody cares anymore, but back then it was a big deal. A lot of privacy, a lot of security. I've been doing M&A for 25 years. Okay, so I understand what you're gonna get, what you're gonna have, and we'll talk about some of that. Okay, so leaning into change, transformation, all that stuff. How many of you today have something that's changing in your organization? You all do, right? Okay. How many have more things changing than you think you can handle? Okay. Just a few of you. Everybody else is lying. So, a couple takeaways that I want you to think about. In the mid-90s, I was at Behringer and then Roche, and I had a guy who worked for me, and every end of the year, we had this thing. This year sucked, next year's gotta be better, right? Well, we're 20 years past that, and it's the same thing, okay? It always seems that last year sucks, but you got a little bit better than the year before, and you can take on more, okay? It's amazing how much you can actually take on. There's a couple things I want you to think about in your role as leaders, okay? Maintain calm. This is actually animated for me, okay? I'm usually the monotone guy that doesn't say anything. I'm the CISO, so nobody wants to hear me talk because when I do, it's something bad, okay, typically, okay? But if your hair's on fire, everybody else around you will be, okay? So purposefully, I make sure that I am calm at all times. Because if I'm sideways, everybody's sideways, okay? Now, Rob talked about this a little bit, telling your people what they're doing and what they're doing well. I have a couple folks that have become CISOs, okay? Part of what I do, I look back and say, what is my legacy, okay? It wasn't the building that I built for Baxter, okay? It's the people that I have built. And your point, Rob, I had somebody, I ran into an employee I had 20 years ago, and we saw him at a restaurant. He looked at my wife, and he said, just so you know, this is the best guy I ever worked for, okay? That resonates, that means a lot, okay? And then what are you doing to earn that, okay? People don't just automatically revere people, okay? What are you doing daily to help earn that? And then finally, what'd you learn last year? How have you made yourself more valuable? Okay. For a while, in 21, we're making some changes, and they said, Leon, we know you do that CISO stuff, and that's all real important, and but our chief technology officer is going away. Would you do CIO stuff for a while? So, yeah, I've done that. I'll go ahead and do it. It was a lot, but we'll talk through some of that. But sometimes you take on those things because you're either asked or voluntold, one of the two. But if nothing else, keep these in mind, okay? This is what drives me as a leader, okay? Now, I talk about transformation. In 2017, I went to Car Auction Service at the time, and we bought auctions, okay, because they built out our portfolio. Well, we also had a company that did salvage. In 2019, we spun that company off into a separate publicly traded company, okay? That company was worth about $1.3 billion. It was acquired last year for 7.2. So pretty good shareholder value transaction, I would think. I mean, you start talking financials and my eyes glaze over, but I think those numbers work, okay? That started it. And then COVID hit, okay? When you are a old line, physical, auction-based, people come to auction, and if you think about it, on auction day, we would swell to like 500 people, drivers and stuff like that. So, there might be 700, 800 people at an auction, and it was an event, okay? On March 13th, I was in Grand Cayman coming off the day before the last day of our cruise, and I got a Wi-Fi connection and found out we closed for 2 weeks, okay? Well, I guess I don't have to worry about those emails that I didn't pick up during the cruise, but we closed for 2 weeks, and what we did is we went from 50% of our sales virtual to 100% of our sales virtual in about 3 to 4 weeks, okay? And we have not stopped doing that. Our CEO firmly believes that digital is where we have to be, and we are helping to lead this industry, okay? Now, we changed the front end, okay? There's always back end changes. We still have 7 or 8 ERP systems. We're an acquisitive company, okay? And when we acquire, we don't necessarily integrate right away. And so we gotta fix those things. That's what we're working on now. But then we go further, And in 22, we sold our US auction business, so 56 auctions, again, think 180 acres, 14,000 cars, big physical places. Sold all that, okay, to Carvana. I actually still have about 5,000 people from Carvana on my network as part of transition, which it is what it is, okay? But we sold that, and that furthered us, okay? Now, we just finished this year consolidating our US marketplaces, our Canadian, and our European marketplaces, okay? So taking 3-4 different ways that you could sell a car and smash those together, okay? Making it easier, going back to kind of our tenants, how do we make it easier for a customer? You know, if a customer doesn't sell a car here, and our customers are dealers and manufacturers, so think GM, think folks like that, they have multiple ways to sell that vehicle, okay? We're facilitating that. All of that takes software, okay? And you can't go to SAP and say, well, give me the auction management system piece, okay? There is no HANA for that. So this is how we're moving, and everything that we do in our marketplaces today is 100% online, okay? We still have some physical businesses. We cut keys, so those car fobs, the key fobs you have, we cut those. We'll do them in 24 hours if need be. And then we inspect vehicles, stuff like that. But most of it is all software. We have about 500 software developers, okay, in our organization, and they're scattered around the world, okay? So, making this change, and you've all done similar things, okay? Maybe not as fast, maybe a little bit faster, okay? But every company is moving to be a technology company. So how do you manage through some of that? Any questions so far? I told you I wasn't nearly as good as Rob, so hopefully I haven't fallen off too hard. So what are the drivers? Technology naturally is changing, okay? COVID was a driver. The regulatory space, if you aren't having regulatory conversations on, say, a monthly basis, I am nervous for you, okay? The SEC is coming after CISOs now. Well, they're coming after companies. February for publicly traded companies is going to be a pretty busy month as CISOs help rewrite some of the 10Ks, okay? Regulatory is getting harder to deal with. Bad guys are getting worse. There's a lot more of them, okay? They use AI too, okay? And you've got to now use AI to fight AI, okay? So it's a nasty world that you live in. But what else, okay? So supply chain, you know, as around May of 20, people started buying cars again. And then all of a sudden there were no chips. So there were no cars, okay? No new cars. Well, when you deal in a business that sells used cars and you are kind of a step in the process, when the dealer intercepts what you do, you don't have those cars to sell, okay? So we've rebuilt the business. And then I would tell you on a technology standpoint, you all probably have one of three problems. You have Active Directory problems, okay? People don't talk about it because it's 20 years old and they don't want to, but you have a Java or .NET problem, okay? That damn thing runs, and if you touch it, it falls over, okay? So no one's going to patch it, okay? And then you got a segmentation problem because you all grew up, put it all in a data center. Well, and what people did is, well, I need stuff to talk, so let's open things wide. Well, that just made your blast radius nasty, okay? And if I asked you if you had 1, 2, or 3 of those problems, 9 out of 10 of you would say you do. The 10th is lying. So it is what it is. And then third-party stuff. My customers are manufacturers and banks, and so it's always third-party problem. We are always going to be the problem. Your vendors are going to be the problem for you. Okay. So when I say change, Neil's coming on. It's all good. I thought it was a message for me, and I was trying to figure out what I needed to go do. We have 14 lines of business. we've bought or sold 7 companies in the last 7 years, okay? I talked about IA, we went from 18,000 to 4,500 employees, okay? Combination selling off companies, spinning off companies. But let's look at the last 20 months, okay? This is the short list of the things that we've done, okay? We sold a business. We looked at cutting costs, okay? You guys are looking at that, not really a big deal. We are a heavy adopter of cloud and SaaS. We moved 2 on-prem data centers to VM Cloud and AWS. We have a big presence in AWS, Azure, and a little bit in GCP. We migrated from Office 365 to Google, okay? It had its own set of issues. And then we moved call centers offshore, okay? Doing a lot of stuff. We actually just, late last year, bought the Canadian assets in Mannheim, who's our biggest competitor in the auction space. So we still have auction locations in Canada, but all they do is service vehicles, okay? So this is the short list of stuff, and there's really nothing on here from a security standpoint, okay? And this is the short list that I can remember while I was doing it, okay? You all are doing similar things, and I would venture to guess that a lot of you, whether you're thinking about it or not, are working towards transforming your business, okay? If you're not doing something that's working towards transforming it, I would question why you're doing it, okay? There may be need, okay? If you're in manufacturing, you gotta build plants, okay? That's you know, not up for discussion, but you need to be looking at how you are making that transition. So, how do you get sleep, okay? I typically wake up about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm worried about who's attacking me, how we're getting attacked. I'm having arguments, okay? And when you think about it, how do you get sleep? I would say you wrap your arms around people, okay? My security staff, I've lost 2 people in the last 2.5 years. My security staff is not huge, okay? But they like working together. We do interesting stuff, okay? Now, I will tell you, nobody wants to talk about this, but everybody has A, B, and C players. They all have a role and they're all important, okay? There are some things that a person who is a C player has to do, you need them to do, and let's make sure they know that they're valued for doing it, okay? I didn't talk to Rob, but people want to contribute. They want to feel like they're part of the team. They want to feel like they're doing something of value. At the end of the day, that's all they want. Now, I talked about taking on CIO responsibilities. At the end of 23, I backed off of that. The technology landscape is getting too nasty. Had to focus back on more security stuff. And we have that in, we're now aligned on the technology side. And are there things that you can move to appear, or quite frankly, to people that work for you that deserve the opportunity to go do something new, okay? Let them try and fail on their own. You've done it forever. Sorry, I've done it forever. I don't know if you have, but I'm saying that let them try. And then, are you being transparent? You know, if I'm typically nothing if not transparent. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we were talking about the guys that I had that became CISOs, and I said, well, they became CISOs, but after a year they didn't want to be. And we were talking about humility, and he said, that's the humility part. You don't have to tell people that they didn't want to do it, but you do, okay? You're transparent with people to say, there's a problem. When I talk to my risk committee, we don't have everything as lollipops and sunshine conversations. They don't want those conversations. They want to know what's bad and how they help fix it, okay? So being very transparent with people. This one's a hard one, okay? Now, what does it look like from a leadership standpoint? Most people don't understand the top one. Get the hell out of the way. I mean, I've learned this over time. You know, I still get beat up because, I mean, I was sitting here this morning checking my security stuff. I do it every morning, okay? And when I say every morning, it's every morning, Saturday, Sunday, first thing I do, unless I'm on a cruise. If I'm on a cruise, I shut down. But otherwise, I check it every morning. Now, do I have to? No. Do I want to? Yes. Do I want to make sure that I'm engaged and understand what's happening? I do, and you will have a different perspective on things because of that you've learned over the last many of years, okay? So it's valuable. I used to coach football when my son was this big, not this big. And I told parents, I said, if you ever hear me yell at your son or daughter, it is yelling for them. You will never hear me yell at them, okay? When I was young, I got yelled at a lot, so I don't like it. I said, the thing you want to know is when I walk up to them and I put my arm around their shoulder and I whisper in their ear, that's the conversation you want to know about, okay? Because that's when we're coaching. I will never, ever, ever humiliate somebody in the context of an issue. If there's a problem, it's my problem, okay? Rusty, you asked about managing up, okay? I see my job as making sure the people below me are successful and the people above me are successful. And the best book that I've read on that is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL, okay? It's actually a pretty quick read. Secondly, or third, stay engaged. I look at stuff every day, not because I have to, but because I want to see what's happening. I want to be able to ask things. And every so often, not every time, but I'll ask a question and they'll say, yeah, great point. We need to go look at that. I asked a question yesterday about some things that I saw, and they said, yeah, here's the 10 things that we do to make sure we don't see this, okay? This is a really big one. One of the things that happened with SolarWinds, and if you haven't had the opportunity, if you haven't read the complaint against SolarWinds, it's a worthwhile read, okay? I had people ask me about the headlines, and I said, I won't tell you what I think until I read the complaint, okay? In the complaint, one of the things they said was, the CISO never asked. He never took feedback, okay? And so I purposefully go ask the people that work in my security group, what are we not doing we should be? What am I doing that gets in your way, okay? You know, those are hard conversations to have for you personally, because you might get told, okay? Most people are gonna say, yeah, we're all good. Well, they're not telling you the truth, okay? But I would argue, go ask them, because again, people will tell you, okay? If you're asking in a, please help me perspective, not a, okay, it says here I'm supposed to ask you what you think of me. Well, that's never gonna do it, okay? Be humble about it. And then, I hire for attitude. I have 2 guys who are still in the military. One of the really interesting things about the military is on the security side, they spend about $300,000 to $400,000 training people. Okay, so if you have an opportunity to pick up one of them, it's a really good deal. Because they also understand, sometimes I may have to stare at that wall for 8 hours, and I don't know why, but I've been told to do that before, and that's what I'm gonna do, okay? They are phenomenal employees. I also have a guy who was came out of our call centers. Came out of our call centers. He did GRC work for us, and now the guy runs my AppSec program. The guy's absolutely phenomenal. He's been there for 10 years. You know, he knows everybody, and he knows what they're thinking, okay? We also have, I had a buddy that hired somebody who found him baling hay on a horse farm, okay? Guy's a great pen tester, okay? Because they have different perspective, okay? If I hire people that only look like me and think like me, we're gonna get the same thing. But what I need is people who have diversity of thought, okay? I can attack you this way. No, I can attack you this way, okay? That's where I think people start to be really successful. And then I think finally, you gotta take care of yourself, okay? What you do on a regular basis is pretty arduous. People don't necessarily understand what you do, okay? And it's hard for you to explain to people within your company the struggles that you have. Okay, so let's start with that. It's not like finance and, well, if I get these numbers right, I'm good. You know, it's thinking through complex problems. Okay, this top one, I will admit I failed here. Okay, now I will tell you that all 3 of my kids are through college. They didn't go to jail. That's a win. Okay, and I can count on 2 hands the events that I wasn't at. Okay, that includes global travel. That includes working in Cincinnati and living in Carmel. Okay, I would drive back for a hockey game. Okay, between my son and my daughter, I spent 17 years in penalty box. The best place to watch a game from, especially when there's no glass in front. There's the occasional puck that comes at your head, but it's all good. But I failed at this. Okay, I was present, but you know, sixth grade band concerts, not really all that exciting. There was always some issue I had to deal with when my kids weren't up performing. Okay, because it's bad enough to listen to them who don't know how to play an instrument, let alone every other kid in the place. So there was always some kind of issue that required my attention. But I was present, but I wasn't always there. Okay, those are the things you look back and say, man, I screwed that up. Okay, now fortunately, my wife, bless her heart, did a great job with the kids. Okay, and then I was the bad guy when I had to be. I would say find a hobby. I walk 5 miles a day. I was looking at a meme this weekend, and the guy said he named his dog 5 miles, so he could say I walked 5 miles today. And I mentor startup companies. I really enjoy working with companies trying to figure stuff out. Okay, most of it's for free. Okay, so it's a lot of work for, you know, some of them work, some of them fail, but it's the notion of helping others to be successful. Okay. And then I would say find someone to talk with. I started a CISO group here because nobody understands what you do. And sometimes you just got to yell at people, okay? I don't, but I've told numerous people. I remember sitting in the Newark airport on a trip back from Israel, talking to somebody at the state and said, look, you got my number. Nobody knows what you do. Call me. Yell at me for 15 minutes. You'll hang up. You'll feel better. I won't care. Let's go on. Okay? Sometimes that's needed because you have to have an outlet. When I started a CISO group here in Indy, so if there's security folks in your organizations that need an outlet, hit me up on that. And then sometimes you'll need a therapist. Okay? My wife is a therapist. She deals with kids about yay tall that have dealt with trauma. Not something I could ever do. I like dealing with things that don't talk back. Okay, but she's been after me forever. Go find someone to talk to. So I finally did. Probably 10 years late, but all I do is, you know, how's it going? Thanks, Quentin.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Gotta bail.
And then I guess the question that I would ask you as you leave today, sometimes maybe in the wrong place. Okay. 25 years ago, I went through a leadership thing, and I was talking to this was at Roche, and I talked to the guy who was running it, and I went through all of the complaints I had. And he said, why are you here? Why do you stay? If this is the problem, why do you stay? Okay. Now that can be a good decision or a bad decision. I went to a startup company. There weren't many startup companies in Indy 23 years ago, and they had an ethics problem, so I left. But you know, sometimes you might find yourself in that spot, and you have to decide for yourself: are you in the right spot or not? Okay. But again, it's all about taking care of yourself. These pieces all fit into that top one. Okay. If you can't do that one right, then you have a place to learn. So I think that's it. It is. I will take questions, comments, There's no red gold tomatoes here, so you can't throw those at me. But question or thoughts on transformation, on anything else? It's all good. I'll let you guys get back to work. So, thanks.
Thanks to Rob. Thanks to Leon for spending some time with us. Thanks to you for getting out and overcoming the dozen reasons you had not to show up this morning and to network and to find out ways you can become a better leader. I would encourage you to take one of these handouts, the Battle Proven Leadership Boot Camp that we're talking about. Think about sharpening your saw, thinking about honing your skills. Jennifer Ruth is amazing. If you want to see what she's like, there's one of the videos on the Expedient YouTube channel from her previous speech and her podcast as well. I'd really encourage you to have a good look at this. Thanks for coming today. We'll be available to walk you out. Brian?
I just want to follow up on what Leon said at the last part. The last screen or slide was take care of yourself.
Yeah.
We all work hard. We all work hard every day, right? I'm a recovering CIO, so I worked hard every day. Nothing changes your perspective than laying in a hospital bed. I've laid in a hospital bed for 2 weeks. Leon's laid in a hospital bed as well, multiple times. Perspective is perspective. Work hard, but take care of yourself. Have that outlet. Leon's got outlet now. I have an outlet now. It does help with your whole being. You'll probably agree as well. It just helps. So don't overwork yourself. You are going to do it. You're going to work 24 hours a day. You're going to do it. Just be sure you have that outlet. Leon's outlet is going on cruise because he unplugs at that point in time. You heard it. That's what he does.
Thanks. Great closing thought, Brian. Thank you all for coming. Have a great day. Bob and Kate will be walking you out. If you'd like to stay and chat with Rob or Leon, please feel free to. Thank you.